And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and then just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And tonight, we are going to hit day 8 of the Battle Royale Festival and talk about my favorite action-oriented Battle Royale, the tournament. Mr. Underworld, Mr. 48, 28 weeks later. Mr. 28 weeks later, Mr. Underworld. So yeah, the tournament was released in 2009. It was directed by Scott Mann, written by Gary Young, and it stars Ving Rhames from Underworld, Robert Carlyle, the asshole father in 28 Weeks Later, and Kelly Hu. And yeah, she plays Lily? Lili? Yeah, that's her name, Lili. So the tournament opens with a bunch of news clips of very violent news reports talking about this sudden rash of violent murders in this place, and we watch the Brazilian infight between Joshua and Greg, which was like really cool. really cool. And he wins. Ving Rhames wins. Joshua is who he plays. So we then learn that every 7 years, all of these really rich people, led by the game master whose name is Powers, they gather together to watch assassins face off against each other, and they bet on who wins. The winner will win a $10 million prize to take home. So yeah, that's the setup of the movie. Now you may be, well, is that really a battle royale since they are participating willingly? We'll get to that in a minute. So, we're in Middlesex, Great Britain. That's where this tournament is going to take place. We see our participants begin to arrive. Such as Lily. She swallows the knockout juice, where they are then, because like, who's going to walk in on an assassin, right? So when they arrive for the tournament, they all drink something which knocks them out. Then the game masters, they come in and they implant a tracker in them. And then they wake up and the fight has begun. So we are then introduced to Father McAvoy, who is a priest with a little collar and everything, just like he is on the cover. So he's drunk, again, being thrown out of a bar after being passed out on the bar all night. He is an absolute shameful disgrace as a priest, as you can imagine, right? So he's drunk and thrown out of that bar. We see the tournament crew setting up for the game. Powers opens the game, and it begins. We see all these rich people watching the game. One lives, wins $10 million. We see Miles and Yuri and Anthony. Anton and Lee and Joshua. Joshua won the last one, so why is he returning? We'll see that too. So he's coming back because his wife was killed 4 months ago. So his wife was murdered 4 months ago in an obvious assassin's hit, and he has been told that the person who did it is in this tournament, is an assassin in this tournament. So that's the reason why he's back, even though he won the last tournament. Of course, now here comes the traditional Battle Royale twist. Typically a Battle Royale is non-willing, right? It's forced. The reason that this becomes a traditional Battle Royale is because, unbeknownst to the participants this time, their tracker is not just a tracker. Their tracker is like in Triggered and Hunger Games and stuff like that. Well, not Hunger Games. Breathing Room. And that is that the tracker is an explosive device. And if you do not do what they want you to do, they can click it and blow you up. So, unbeknownst to the tournament participants this game, they may have willingly joined it. You know, they may have willingly joined it, but they are not willing participants in the final, because they have no idea that powers can kill them at any time, and that they will not be leaving this game. They cannot quit, as in tournaments before. They will be killed. So they are actually willing, but not as willing as they think they are. They think they've signed up for one thing, and it's turned out to be something different. So we get introduced to, quote, the Frenchman is what he's called. And he's come up with his own little plan. And that is that he's going to cut his tracker out. But he's going to, somehow, he needs to get it into someone else. So he goes into the cafe where this drunk priest, Father McAvoy, happens to be begging for a cup of coffee. And he goes into the bathroom and he takes out the tracker, and then he comes back and he throws it in the coffee pot. And then waits to see whom the waitress pours the coffee cup, pours the coffee into. And it happens to be the father. Well, actually it was this other guy, but he got up and left before he drank it. But this drunk ass priest, he reaches over there and gets the coffee cup, which was the worst mistake he ever made, because he swallows down this tracker. So unbeknownst to him, he has just become the Frenchman as far as the game is concerned. Now, the reason that the Frenchman did this was because he knows that as the father completely unknowingly walks down the street and goes about his business, that other assassins will be coming after him, right? So if he just follows the priest, he can keep a watch for anyone trying to kill the priest and take him out. So that's how he can take out the competition. Very ingenious. Nobody said that psychos weren't smart. They can be. So, he ends up going to his church, and it's there that Lee comes in, and she starts to kill him, but then doesn't understand why he's not fighting back, and she can tell that something's really weird. And that's when, because he has no idea. So he's got this crazy Oriental woman beating the shit out of him and got a big gun up to his face, and she can tell that he has absolutely no idea what's up, except that he's crapping in his pants. So I think it's maybe Yuri or Anton. Yeah, Anton comes in to kill the tracker, which happens to be in this brace. And we get to see this huge, cool fight between her and that guy, all in front of the priest, who is not aware of, as you can imagine, he's hung over and now he's freaked out. So all of this is going on. And she does end up managing to kill that guy, and she takes the priest, and they go, and she starts trying to find out what's up with him. How did this happen? She starts trying to explain a little to him that he is in some serious shit, which is pretty funny. When she tells him what he's involved with, he freaks out quite a bit. Recognizes him from the cafe. Oh yeah, the people, up there. First of all, Powers and all of them, they recognize him, this priest, and they don't care that this person has been in there. So, the Frenchman, he also recognizes. So everybody recognizes him as the person that is just a local from town who's now involved in all of this shit. So we then get to see Miles. Is that who it is? No, Josh. Josh arrives. Now, Josh is the psycho cowboy American assassin, and he's crazy. He even does the big no-no in that he kills a dog on screen, which upset, a lot of people. So he murders this dog just for the fucking hell of it. They end up being at the team notices that there's a whole bunch of trackers in one place, and that's where they're like, oh my god, there's 9 people at this titty bar, this boob bar, and they're like, why are they not shooting each other? It's like, well, they don't know who each other are, who's who in this big bar, and they're like, this is going to be a bloodbath, and it is, because once the shooting starts, you've got 9 of these assassins inside one little strip club. So you get to see an absolute hilarious amount of action, shooting, bang bangs, a bloodbath ensues. The only 2 that live through it is Miles and Josh. Now, Josh thinks that Miles is the one who killed his wife. He ends up knocking out Josh, tying him up, and is going to kill him, but he wants him to know one thing before he dies. I didn't do it. I'm not the one who killed your wife. And he tells him that it was the girl, Lily. She is the one who did it. Now, right before he kills him, Josh does this really perfect move, and that he's like, can I have one last drink? So he drinks like this big bottle, big swallow of liquor, and Josh is fisting to light a cigarette, and he's got the gun, and he's fisting to kill Josh, and so right as he lights that cigarette, Josh spits that whiskey all over him and sets him on fire. But he still manages to run and get away. So we see a bunch of random contestants fighting as they kill each other off. We see Lou and Father McAvoy stop. This was a hilarious scene. They stop at a junior store, right, to get gas, to get some petrol. And what's funny is when they walk in, the clerk, he sees them. He doesn't think anything about it, but he's making his dinner. He's making him a Hot Pocket in the microwave. So he turns around with his back to the store, and he's doing this Hot Pocket while he's listening to music on his thing, and he's sitting there waiting for the Hot Pocket to get through. When all of a sudden Miles shows up and goes in there and starts fighting with them. So that's the guy that had set Josh on fire. That Josh had set on fire. So he's burnt a little bit, but not a whole lot. Obviously he got away. So he's in there, and they have this kick-ass fight, all while the clerk is listening to music, waiting for his microwave dinner to get through. Whole store being rampaged. When she finally wins and gets Miles knocked down onto the floor, she's like fisting to shoot him, and the father just starts begging her not to kill him. And she finally gives in, and she doesn't kill him. This really, really, really pisses off Powers, because this is like a major action scene. So you have all of these participants, all these gamblers who are wanting to see some good kills, and the father has interrupted them, right? So Powers gets really, really upset and tells them to activate Miles's self-destruct. So Miles starts screaming, and Lily and the father, they don't know why he's screaming down there, but he's just like screaming and carrying on. And then that dude blows up, right? So it like completely paints the store with blood and guts. And it even lands on the back of the clerk, who at that moment is like, ding, his microwave dinner is ready. And he takes his thing out and he turns around, and his store is completely demolished, and there is this goo on him and this dead people. And it's like, a lot can happen in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? While you're waiting for your microwave ding ding to get through. That was pretty funny, because the look on his face was fucking priceless. Just 3 minutes ago I was looking and it looked a certain way. I turn around and I turn back around and my store looks like a fucking slaughterhouse. So that was pretty funny. So we then see Josh show up now. Remember, he now thinks that Lily is the one who killed his wife. So we see this really cool, huge, they hijack a trolley, a bus, a double-decker, and Josh is in like, American word here, 18-wheeler, so that's what Josh is in, and they are in a double-deck trolley, right? So there's like going down the road, fantastic chase scenes. Meanwhile, the fucking Frenchman, whom we've forgotten about, he's waiting on an overpass, and as the double-decker goes under, he jumps down on it. So now we've got the Frenchman and Lily going at it while poor Father McAvoy drives this bus, while Josh is coming at them trying to smash them with an 18-wheeler. It's very, very interesting. It's like a lot of really cool action. So once they do manage, she does manage to kill the Frenchman pretty ugly by tricking him, and he ends up half hanging out the back of the bus and gets smashed, and Father steps on the brakes, so the 18-wheeler smashes the Frenchman in the back of the bus. That was pretty good. That was a good kill. So they end up like going back, only Josh and the father and Lily, they're the only three left. So they end up going, Lily and the father end up going back to that church, and Josh, tracks them down. And Josh and her end up, going at it. But the father keeps telling him not to blame her, that this was not her fault. He wants to know what the fuck you're talking about. She then ends up explaining what happened. And this is where it all goes wrong. For the powers that be, anyway. She tells him that, yes, she's the one who killed his wife. That there was not a contract on him. That the contract was specifically for his wife. Because all this time, he thought that someone had came for him and killed her instead? No. This contract was never on you. It was always on your wife. When I got there, I don't know why. I didn't know who. I didn't know it was your wife. I just knew I had a target. When I got there, though, not only did I see that she was pregnant, but I see that she had no idea. And despite, and this was my sin, despite me being able to tell that this woman she wasn't in the game of any kind. So, despite me seeing this, though, I did it anyway, under threat and under payment for my contract, my reputation. And he wants to know who and why. So she ends up telling him that it was Powers, the leader of the tournament. Now that's not surprising considering what an asshole he is. So, now that Josh has learned this information, he stabs her. And you think, well, she's dead. He is then awarded the prize, all of a sudden outside of a church. And the father, you might be wondering, well, isn't the father still going? Well, the father's been taking X-Lax and stuff all through this movie to try to get the tracker to go on through and out. So let's put it this way, it's no longer active. He's gotten rid of the tracker. All he had to do was stay alive long enough to take a really good shit. That's basically what it was. He had to get rid of the tracker. Because all he did was swallow it. It's not like it was implanted in him like everybody else. So the big limo shows up. Josh gets in it. And he's taken back to the headquarters. Where when he gets there, and you've got all the employees. You've got all these rich motherfuckers around the table covered in $10 million. Well, he jumps up onto the table. He jumps up onto the table and starts going after Powers, like embarrassing him, like telling everyone, this is what you did. Why did you have my wife murdered? And then he admits that it was just to get Josh to come back because he's a great player and he wanted to make more money. So he wanted a returning champion to come back and play in this tournament. Now, so he's like, oh, well, you killed my wife for that? Now, he's also being embarrassed because all of these other people are like, that's shitty, man. But he manages to go up and get a hold of Powers and attacks him and drags him up onto the table and then pulls out a tracker. You see, he had not killed Lily. He had cut her tracker out. This was her tracker. So he forces it down Powers' throat and makes him swallow it. Now, once the tracker gets back into the warmth like it was in the coffee thing, the body heat, the warmth of being inside, it then showed up on the leaderboard that now there were 2 contestants still alive. Well, you know what that does, right? Remember, they had been programmed this time to kill, to explode, if when time ran out, there was more than one person left. So basically, Joshua committed suicide. He had lost everything. But he took him with him because when he stuffed her tracker down his throat, then it registered with the system. There was 2 people alive. 2 contestants were alive. Time had run out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. and then both of them blew up and killed a bunch of the whoever was close enough to be killed was killed. So you then see Lily, who has now given up this line of work, and you see the father, who is now, I guess, clean and sober and, preaching at a church, and he sees her in the back pew for a minute, and then she's gone. So you see that she lived through it and the father lived through it. And yeah, that's the tournament. And it is, I think, because like I said at the beginning, of this festival, there are different kinds of battle royales. Traditional battle royales all share the same basic core elements, but they can gear towards horror. They can gear towards psychological, like Breathing Room. They can gear towards slashers like Triggered and Breathing Room as well, and Kill Theory. And they can drift and they can veer towards action-oriented, like Belko Experiment and Death Race and stuff like that. So, a battle royale remains a battle royale, but it can go into different genres. And the tournament has to be my favorite pure action battle royale, with all of the elements of action-oriented scenes and stunts and special effects. So yeah, the tournament would be my favorite action. Of slashers, I think, like I said, Belko Experiment was always my favorite, but I think it's finally topped by Triggered. Triggered would be my favorite slasher oriented one. Breathing Room and House of Nine, they're both sort of drama, psychological, mixed with slasher, because kills are of course in every battle royale. That's the whole point. But it's the environment, the atmosphere. So yeah, there you go. The tournament, I have one more to do, and that will be Day 9, which will be the Belko Experiment. That will round out, and finish off my Battle Royale Festival with the Belko Experiment coming next. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. And always remember, you're a very special person. Even if you are not an assassin with a tracker in your guts trying to win $10 million by killing people just like you, who are trying to do the same. Good luck with that, and may the odds be ever in your favor.